Hi guys, Ian here in Scotland. A good old radio, eh? Remember the days when you used to get some decent stations on it? These days there's hardly anything on the damn thing. So for a long time here in Scotland, it's been hard to receive where I am, Radio 2 on FM, and I used to like listen to Radio 2 in stereo. So over the years I decided, as much as I like the appearance of the older radio, I've linked that in with satellite, because as you know, on your satellite TV you also get radio channels. So years ago I put together this radio, we'll call it, and an old valve radio case, a satellite receiver, standard definition, with a small TV screen so that you can see what you're doing, and just switch it to the radio mode. So you get as many radio stations as you like in stereo, and it looks like an old valve radio. Not this one you're looking at here, it's just a transistor radio. So recently the BBC had changed something on the satellite system, that you no longer got their stations, which were damned annoying on satellite. They moved them first of all, and then they changed them to high definition, I think. So I had two of these old radios that had turned into satellite radios, as I called them. So they changed it to high definition, so my standard ones didn't receive Radio 4 Extra anymore, which I now like to listen to. So I've had to change them all to high definition boxes. And in doing so I'm going to change it again. I'm going to make one now which has a really good bass speaker in it, from a bass tube that you would put in a car, which happens to be here. This is the bass speaker from my car. Not a car, but you know, one of the bass tubes that you get. A really good bassy sound off it as well. And I'm going to incorporate all of that. Hold on a wee second. And professional filming. Sounds good as well. Bugger. Oh, that seems awful close, isn't it? Into this radio case, which was a Raymond, I think, Raymond radio. The radio itself never worked, so I used the case for years. The reason this one's so good for it, and get some better lighting on it, is because it has this aperture, which is good for a TV screen, you see. And there's the radio, lovely old Bakelite case. There's the aperture that I'm going to use for the TV screen, flat one of course. And that just fits in that speaker grill, which if I get back into it, so we get some good bass. So that's the plan, guys. Let's get on with it. Right guys, well here we are, we've jumped to stage 2. So the bass speaker is now in the subframe. We need the subframe so we can just slide it all into the cabinet once it's ready. This is the satellite receiver module. And this is the front of the radio. And we're going to have to mount that in there, so that it can receive the signal. You can use the remote control through the glass and the screen. Not a good light in here, is there? The screen is here, and it too will go in the glass. And they're very dark, you can't really see it, can you? I really should have better lighting. Anyway, we're getting there. The bass speaker is in place, but we need to transverse that circuitry because it's sticking out too much. Anyway, we'll get that supported in there. I need to build a wee frame for it to sit in, providing enough ventilation, because as small as it is, it creates a lot of heat, We'll need ventilation to make sure we have no failures in broadcast or receiving. Right, let's get on with it then. Well, here we are again. Progress. So I've still to box in the speaker, provide even better bass. And I want to keep this side well ventilated because the very small satellite receiver gets very hot, as these modern electronics do, and I don't want a fan in there making a noise, so I'll just make sure it's well ventilated, see how that goes. And I want a rotary switch for it. Where is it? So we have a rotary on off switch with an adapter because somebody cut the shaft too short last time they used the rotary switch. I don't know who that was. So salvaged a valve radio, primarily to get the other switch off it, but the other switch didn't work. But I did handily enough have a switch adapter, which once adapted ensured that this switch now is functional and usable. So I'm now going to install the switches in the front, and then we'll get it all together. Well, here we are. One of many fittings for it to fit the case. I have the on-off switch there. At the back of that, we have the volume control for the bass speaker, which will also be adjustable via the satellite remote. That's the power supply. Of course, the bass speaker. I'm just about to cut some wood to box in the bass speaker to give it a good bit of bass sound. The light's never very good in here, is it? So you can't really get a very good idea how it's supposed to be. That dark, isn't it? We're getting there. I really should get my labelling machine working instead of all these bits of tape. Anyway, let's get this speaker boxed in. Well, here we are. The umpteenth fitting. It's in the case. You can see I'm making the box for the speaker so we get some good sound out of it. And the electrics over this side. And there we are. Just some wooding to put in. Yeah, that's old fashioned stuff. Hopefully it doesn't go on fire. And the backboard to put on. And that with the speaker enclosure done. Moving on. Well, here we are again. The speaker is now enclosed and padded. The electronics are looking as messy as ever. Got a better view of it though we are out the case. So this gubbins here, and the blue spades and sockets are to connect the TV. Which I need to be able to turn the TV screen off, you see. You know, when it's on the radio, I just use it for setting up the station. Once you know what station you're on, you can turn off the screen and the audio will come without having a picture. But you can also use it as a TV if ever you actually want to watch the TV on it. So, anyway, we're getting there. we're getting there. Change of plan, guys. Trouble with the power supply. I think I was just it was a bit of a mess, the power supply, and I couldn't really trace where the fault was, but when I turned it on I just got a hum and nothing worked. No, I don't think I was getting the wrong voltage or the wrong way around, it just didn't work, so I turned it off and I tested everything after it, and it all seems to work again. But we're now going with this neater power supply. It's all a nice wee black box with a wee light on it, and it works well. So we're going to mount that in here somewhere. And I also noticed that the amplifier for the bass speaker doesn't seem to be very loud. I don't know whether it has a sustained damage or whether it just needs a preamp, but either way, swapping out the power supply is what we're doing now. So let's get on with that then. Oh dear.
Energy price rises slowly.
Well, yes, I hope so, because they've been prohibitively high. I had to pay the last energy bill out of my own pocket. It was so high.
Is that something you've ever had to do before?
No, I've never done it. 40 years of...
So Sarah, what more can we do then while we wait for the cost of living to sort of stabilise a bit again?
Well, I'm sure people all have their own hacks out there, things that they've kind of had to do to try and...
That would be the flag flipping down in the back of the head. Never just in the head if I am to shout. Poetry in motion, and I do it part of the across the...
It's like £20 odd a month more, but then if
mentioned them both earlier when Kate gave me her reaction to today's inflation figures.
a slower rate than previously, but what we know is still rising significantly faster than wages. And I think for most working people out there, the fact that prices are rising more slowly isn't really much comfort when you're still seeing, food prices rising around 3 times.
So the radio is complete. I've had to change a few things. I'm going to install a ground loop isolator because of the hum. You probably heard it. The camera's not picking up sound as well as I thought it might. Also, I had to take out the bass speaker after all that, building the radio around the bass speaker. It was so bassy you could hardly hear it. So I went with a stereo speaker that you would buy for a computer, which runs quite happily off the satellite receiver 5-volt power supply. So the good thing is it's got a decent sound, it's got good volume, but it's got a bit of hum. That might be because I've got it up full inside the radio and I'm using the remote for the satellite receiver to turn it up and down. If I turned it down a bit inside the radio, it might reduce the hum. So anyway, I'm waiting on a bassier speaker coming. I do like a bit of bass. It adds a bit of richness to the sound. So that's us complete. I think we managed to resolve the issue, and I couldn't get BBC channels. You saw me there trying to pick up a TV picture, but I would need to sit down and have a shuffle through the channels before I recorded that. As I said, I'm using it as a radio, so you can get TV pictures on it, but I've just got to sit down and study it. Well, the screen's so small it's hard to see, you know. But that's just my eyesight, I suppose. Anyway, it all works as expected. I hope you found this video interesting. And we'll maybe see you again another time.